folks. Gonna do a little bit of music here this evening, just kind of a mix of different kind of acoustic folk music, maybe a little bit of jazz, but just something to mix it up. So hope you guys are all safe and healthy and doing all the things we know we should be doing. So I'm just gonna start out here. Nathania, how you doing, big sis? Hope you guys are all safe down there in the Twin Cities. That was titled Whiskey Before Breakfast. I've been playing that tune for a lot of years, and I don't do it as well as Norman Blake does, but Norman Blake played that tune, and I kind of tried to learn his version on it, how he flat picked it. So, people kind of ask a lot of times what kind of instruments that I'm playing. This is a LaPlante guitar. This was built by Lloyd LaPlante, and it's I feel lucky to have number 150. I like the sound of that. So I'm really pleased with this instrument. I got this instrument when I was about 14 years old, about a year after I started playing. I'm going to continue on with another fiddle tune here. This is titled The Red-Haired Boy. Hope you enjoyed that. I'm gonna do just some more fiddle tunes just for fun, just because I enjoy playing them. soldier's joy. I think that was titled Bill Cheatham. There's just a million fiddle tunes, and sometimes I don't know the names. I just know the melodies or where my fingers go of them. And you're going to see me kind of be getting up and jumping around because I'm going to be picking up different instruments. Thought I'd give people a little tour of my instrument collection. Like I said, this is a Lloyd LaPlante guitar. I also am very lucky to own a Billy LaPlante guitar. Probably the finest guitar makers in Minnesota and some of the finest in the country. You just can't find instruments that sound this good. They're just phenomenal. This is a Canon. Hop up and grab another instrument. I'll be right back. This is nothing special. This is a very cheap, like $200 mandolin. Do some Celtic tunes and some Ukrainian things. I learned a few Ukrainian tunes playing with Peter Ostrushko and listening to his records and sitting next to him strumming the guitar and listening to him playing mandolin. Not much of a mandolin player, but I have a lot of fun with it. So I think this is titled Angus Campbell. So whatever that's called, I think that's called Angus Campbell. I was really lucky to grow up the way I did. All my uncles and aunts either played or sang guitar and upright bass, and all sang, and some played piano, and we would have pretty marvelous, epic jam sessions with the LaPlante family here in town, and they would play fiddle tunes mostly, and man, it was just, those were such happy times, such great memories. I don't know the name of this tune, but I think it's an Irish one. Hey Susan, hope you guys are doing good up in Winnipeg. I wish I was playing with you and Sam right now. I know just a very few Irish mandolin tunes. Yeah, so some people asked about playing some Slavic music. So I mentioned earlier that I played with Peter Ostrushko, so I got to sit next to him and strum pretty chords while he played these wonderful Ukrainian mandolin tunes. So I'm going to try and do some of Peter's mandolin tunes. Yeah, so that's a Ukrainian tune. I don't know the name of it. I just know that I played it with Peter. Do some more like that. tune. Hey Chantel, I do have a Patreon account, and I'm going to post it as soon as I'm done playing, so people can contribute if they want. I'm really not good with technology, but I'm trying. All right, let's see here. Alright, so I don't know the name of that tune either. That's another Ukrainian one from Peter Ostrushko's repertoire. I'm going to do one more Ukrainian tune here. Thank you very much. Johanna had a question. She asked, is there a Croatian or Ukrainian community in the area where you learned these? And the answer to the Ukrainian question is I learned them from mandolin player Peter Ostrushko, who I played with. I had the good fortune of playing with for a number of years, playing guitar for him, backing him up. And so the Ukrainian tunes I learned from Peter, and Peter is very well known as on Prairie Home Companion. It's kind of internationally recognized, and is Ukrainian American. His family, his mother and father were from Ukraine, and he grew up in northeast Minneapolis. So that community is in northeast Minneapolis. The Croatian community is from the Mesabi Iron Range. I had family that was from Virginia, Minnesota. That's where the Miltich name comes from, or the real Croatian name is Miltich. And there were some older folks in Bovie Coleraine area that my dad played with when I was little. Rodney Dimich was one of them, and there was a guy named Shiba Hekimovich, and my dad was friends with those guys, and they played in a tamburitza band called the West Range Tamburitsans. And so when I was in high school, I kind of got interested in that music, and I had played a little bit of it. I played bass one time for a wedding, and so I went over to Shiba Hekimovich's house, and he gave me a bunch of sheet music, and I actually bought an instrument that he built, which I'm going to play here momentarily. And so I kind of learned the tamburitza, Croatian Serbian repertoire from Shiba Hekimovich. And then I hooked up with, there's a fairly large Croatian and Serbian community on the Iron Range up here. And then there's another Croatian community that's in South St. Paul, and those Croatian immigrants worked in the meat packing facilities down there, whereas my family worked in the mines up here. And so I met some fellas down from South St. Paul named the Belgian Brothers, and those guys played tamburitza music, and they play it way better than I do, and I kind of learned from them. And so that was really a pleasure. So with all of that said about the Croatian and Serbian music, I'm going to go grab one of my tamburitza instruments. I'll be right back. Alright, so this, I found this beauty in Lloyd LaPlante's basement. He had it from where, I'm not sure, probably someone on the ranch. This was built by a guy named Joseph Miltich, who is out in Pittsburgh area in Pennsylvania. So there was, Croat and Serbian communities, in all the Rust Belt areas, Michigan and Pennsylvania, wherever the steel industry was, Chicago, there were Croatian and Serbs there, and most of them came from between the time of 1900 and 1930, which is when my family came. So I'm gonna do a tune. This is Kolo. These are kinds of tunes they're really dance tunes. They're not very complicated or complex, and Kolo just means circle. So these were songs that people did circle dances to, and probably some people from around here remember the Duquesne Tamburitsans. They'd come to Iron World and they'd play, and they'd have the folk dancers and their beautiful clothing, the traditional clothing of Croatia and Serbia. And so this is a Kolo that you would dance to. So yeah, people often ask me questions about these instruments. This is part of the tamburitza family of instruments, and so tamburitza instruments, this would be a tambura. It's just the same as like the violin family of instruments, where you have a violin, you have a viola, a cello, and an upright bass. These instruments are basically the same principle. So there were these stringed instrument orchestras that popped up all across Europe in like the 1800s, and there were mandolin orchestras in Italy, and bandura and mandolin orchestras in Ukraine, and there was the bouzouki in Greece, and the tambura was from Croatia and Serbia and the Balkan region, and so this is the national instrument of Croatia, I believe. And so just like the violin, there is a which I'll show you in just a sec. There's what's called the bizarnica, or the prim, as in prima, first, right? And that is essentially the violin. And then there's the brach, which is what this is. This is a brach tambura. And this typically plays either melody, but even more commonly harmony, to the part of the prim. And then there's actually what's called a cello, which plays like a cello line. And then there's the burda, which is essentially an upright bass, and it's flat, just like this, like a flat top, not a carved arch top, like a typical string bass would have. And it has a flat back, and it's a bass that has frets, and it's actually played like this with a pick, you know. And it's a gigantic felt pick that they use to play it. And then there's what's called the bugaria. And the bugaria is essentially the chordal instrument, so it's like the equivalent of what a rhythm guitar would be. So there's some really, really wonderful, beautiful tunes. Gaida Colo was one of them that I wanted to play for folks. But I love these tunes that are... excuse me just a sec here, I'm going to get my music out, because I need to read some of these. There are really some beautiful tunes that are in 7/8 that I like to play, so I'm going to play one of these. It's called Volim Date Volim, and it's kind of like I Love to Love You, Baby. And let's see if I can find it here, just to be sure I do it justice. Well, I don't have it, but you know what, I bet I can figure it out. That's alright. I guess I don't need the music. that's volum date volum on the brach tambura for you folks. Yeah, I'm going to do another one here that I really like. I love these tunes that are in 7/8 and these different time signatures. They're just really beautiful to me. I just love them. Hi to Ohio from Minnesota. This is Jovano Jovanka. Thank you. Yeah, these Balkan tunes, I don't know, it must be in the blood, because this stuff, it really, really deeply resonates with me. It really touches my soul, playing these instruments and hearing these melodies. It just feels right. I'm going to do one more tune here on the brach. This is a tune titled My Story, and it's a Czechoslovak. And once again, Czechoslovak is like a dance, but these tunes come from Macedonia, from more of the southern Balkans. So this, I don't know if this would necessarily be played on the tambura instrument, but I certainly do because I think it sounds great. I recorded I recorded some of this style stuff on a record that my most recent record, which is what's it called? Peasants with Torches. So if you want to check that out. Thank you. I saw Teresa Murphy said, "We love this sound, and that's because it's the sound of your family." This is the tambura that comes from Croatia, where great Uncle Tony and Granddad came from. Teresa's one of my relatives who's also a Miltich. Hey, Michael Bibo, how you doing, brother? Good to see ya. I'm gonna have to plug my phone in here because I'm running low on juice, so give me a second. This is a very precarious situation here. Alright, so I hope my phone doesn't fall over. Alright, so yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do on this instrument. I'm going to follow up. I talked about this family of tamburitza instruments. Like I said, this is the brach tambura. Sorry, Michael, I'm not playing a blues right now, buddy. I'm going to do another Croatian tune, and I'm going to grab my bizarnica. I like the sound better of the brach than the prim. This is a little bit high and harsh. It's a bit more of a mandolin kind of a sound, but regardless, I'm going to do some colos on here. Alright, so that's just a silly little colo. just a dance tune. I'm gonna do just one more colo here for you guys. I saw Jason Vanderford tuned in. Yeah, brother, you know some of these tunes, man. You came and hung out on the Iron Range. Put one of them on your record. Hope you guys are doing good out in California. See Joe's chiming in. Right on, man. Digging the Slavic tunes. Okay. Oops, sorry guys, my phone fell down. Alright, maybe just one more on here. So I did that one for my cousin Terry, out in Virginia, on the East Coast, thinking about you guys and the rest of our Miltich family crew. You guys probably maybe remember some of that music from when you were kids. I know my dad, when he was a kid, he would go to Croatian Days picnic. They had in Eveleth, and he said they always had like a fantastic tamburitza band come from Pittsburgh or Detroit or Chicago and play, and they'd roast lambs on a spit, and that was very nostalgic for him, and he loved doing that. His dad would bring him over there and bring a bunch of some of the 10 Miltich kids, I guess. And Becky, if I miss comments, it's just because they're slipping past me. But Becky said, what kind of instrument are you playing, Sam? And this is called a prim, or bizernica, and it's the violin equivalent, the melody type instrument of the tamburitza family. And this was actually built by a guy named Shiba Hekimovich who lived in Coleraine, was good friends with Lloyd LaPlante. In fact, wood that he got for this instrument that he built, he got from Lloyd. And the rosewood, for sure, I know he got from Lloyd. He bought it from Lloyd because Lloyd told me so. And then this is pretty cool. This is a piece of red cedar on the top that Chiba used to make this. So this is like really a true folk instrument. It was made by a guy who worked in the mines his whole life. And he wasn't a professional musician. He played with his friends for fun on the weekends, and they drank Slivovica and had a good time. And there you go. Dance classes at the Flint Croatian Club. Yeah, perfect. I knew it. From my cousin Terry. Anyways, this piece of wood, this cedar, was salvaged from a railroad tie that held up a train trestle that hauled iron ore cars. So this is like a piece of Iron Range history, which is pretty cool, and I'm really proud to have it and able to be playing it. So I'm going to put this away for now, and I think I'm just going to do one more tune here. I'm kind of doing a little bit more of a sort of educational approach to things, because people said that they were really interested in that, and I love doing it. I really enjoy music history and talking about instruments and styles and stuff. So I'm going to grab my other guitar, because my friend Scott Hall said, it would be kind of cool if you would walk people through how you're thinking about a tune when you're playing it. So I'm going to do just a jazz tune and talk a little bit about it, and then I'm going to sign off. So hold on, I'm going to put this away. Hope my cats don't, knock over my phone. So I'm busting out all these instruments. This is nothing fancy. This is a very cheap nylon string guitar. That's a second from the factory. It was bought for $600. That isn't even worth that anymore. But it sounds great, so I don't care. And it plays wonderful. so that's Georgia on my mind. And so Scott Hall said to me today, we were talking, because I had a dream last night. I had a dream that Scott and my dad and I drove to Cincinnati to watch a Minnesota Twins baseball game. The Minnesota Twins played the Cincinnati Reds last night in my head, and Buxton was fantastic. He had a hot bat. So the baseball game in my dreams was a great game. But I told Scott that story, and then he said, hey, you should talk about when you're playing a tune, how you put it together. That last one was Georgia on my mind. And obviously I don't have a band with me, and I play differently when I don't have a band. I don't have a drummer to keep time, and I don't have a bass player to do a bass line, and I kind of have to do all the parts myself. So, Georgia's... we all know that. So, that's just a melody, so I have to put some harmony to it. So I do this. I put the chords underneath it. And then, that doesn't really give it any sense of rhythm or time. You got harmony and you got a melody. Then I try and add a walking bass line. Sometimes I just like to do a little bass solo. And then, I play a solo, and when I'm playing solo, I'm not a great solo player with just my fingers alone. So I typically use a pick. But to make up for the fact that there's no rhythm instrument, every few bars I like to throw chords in there. Back to the melody, maybe on the bridge. Syncopate it a little bit. We put together a nice little arrangement for solo guitar. And I can't really play all the parts at once. I just try and give the impression that all those things are going on at some different point throughout the tune, where you're getting the melody, you're getting the harmony, you're getting a bass line, you're getting syncopation, you're getting some kind of a solo. So that's kind of how I think about things when I'm playing solo jazz guitar. So that's just a little tutorial, but that's about all I got for tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and as long as I'm healthy and things are going okay, I'm gonna plan to do another Friday evening concert, and I'll post my Patreon link again this evening. So check it out and feel free to share it. And everyone, stay safe, stay healthy, and do everything you can to be healthy. And we all know that, it's the social distancing. That's the only real weapon we have right now. We don't have a magic bullet. We don't have a cure. We don't have a vaccine or even great therapies. But we can all do our part by staying put and limiting our contact, and it ain't that bad. So, anyways, love you all, and stay safe, stay healthy. Talk to you later. Thanks.